were rapidly, feverishly trying to get everything together to bring this news to us. And here we are now reporting it at about 7:30 here in Phoenix, Arizona, 9:30 Eastern time. This is historic news. Andrew, wild.
This is just such welcome news for the country that, frankly, for the past week has been seeing upwards of 3,000 deaths daily because of the pandemic all across the country. This is the first vaccine that is being approved in the United States, so it should be released any day now. Shipments will be going out through distribution centers in states all around the country and right before Christmas. So that, might I add, is somewhat of a Christmas miracle. Pfizer has been working on this vaccine since the pandemic began. This is a medical miracle that this has been approved in a year's time. And for many Americans out there who are really reeling from this pandemic, who have had the coronavirus themselves, who have lost a family member or a friend to the coronavirus, this is a light, not just a light at the end of the tunnel. This is the sun peeking up above the horizon, that maybe our lives can go back to normal very soon. Daytona.
Yeah, important to note right now that obviously the UK has already had the first doses of the vaccine. We saw in that video right there, a woman, a 90-year-old woman, she was the first person to have that vaccine administered. And so far, from what I've seen and heard, she's doing good. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly this hits each state. Here on News Now from Fox, we bring you the latest COVID-19 updates from all of the governors. And each one is talking about distributing it just a little bit differently than the next. Some have more capacity, hospitals that are able to hold it at the temperature that it's supposed to be held at. That's been echoed by several health officials about this vaccine. It has to be held at a very, very cold temperature. So that's one of the hurdles that they have to kind of jump in order to distribute this to the masses, right?
That's right. And remember, this is a two-part dosage, right? You'll get one dose, and then about 20 days later, you'll have to go and get the next one. I just want to read from the AP copy here, but that federal officials have said distribution of the first 2.9 million doses would begin within 24 hours of authorization. So I want to just kind of backtrack there. So you could be seeing distribution within 24 hours, tomorrow, Sunday, of the vaccine, now that it has been approved by regulators here in the United States. This was a huge undertaking by Pfizer. Remember, this is not only the only vaccine in production, in the running, waiting to be basically approved. We have the Moderna vaccine, and we're told that possibly next week, regulators could approve that for emergency use authorization here in the United States. We have the AstraZeneca vaccine that is still being waiting to be approved, the Johnson & Johnson one as well. So at the end of all this, there'll be a number of different companies and firms making vaccines. But here now, tonight, on this Friday, December 11th, the first one, the Pfizer one, and the BioNTech. BioNTech is a German pharmaceutical company, for those who don't know, partnered with Pfizer, and the FDA regulators, after that marathon panel all day yesterday, going into the side effects, who should take it, the age range of who should take it, whether pregnant women should take it, but they approved, or they recommended for approval yesterday, and so we were just waiting for this today. We thought it was going to come this weekend, but it came earlier from disputably pressure from the White House, right, Daytona, that might or might not have worked. So we were getting it today here on this Friday night. Daytona.
Yeah, definitely a lot of strings attached to this authorization right here. I do want to mention too, because we had reported earlier this week about the first batch that would be given to the United States, I believe it's 100 million doses. Now, there was reports that President Trump, I think it was a New York Times report, that said President Trump and the White House had the opportunity to get a follow-up batch as well, but decided not to do that. Not a lot of information coming out about why that decision was made, but then that was followed up by an executive order made by the president himself saying that Pfizer should only be distributing vaccines to the United States. If I'm not wrong, Andrew, these are just brief reports that we bring to you here, headlines that we hit.
Yes, that's right, Daytona. The White House, vehemently denied that they passed up a chance this summer to get an additional 100 million or so doses of the Pfizer vaccine when it was ready. Because remember, now that the vaccine has been approved, the safety and efficacy of it have been deemed, safe for distribution. Right now, it's all the talk is going to be about supply. Will there be enough? Will there be enough for people to go around? When can people like you and me, Daytona? We're not healthcare workers. We're not residents of nursing homes. So that is the conversation that's going to go forward. I just want to talk about the distribution plan itself. So right now the target in December is 20 million people. That's the distribution target. So of those healthcare personnel and long-term care facility residents, then in January, they want 30 million people. That's the target. And so that's essential workers. And then February to March, possibly people, normal people like you and me who don't work in the healthcare field, who aren't susceptible to the virus because of, no underlying conditions. We're not in that elderly age group, 65 years and older. So that is kind of the timetable. This comes, as you said, a little more than a week after the UK authorized it there across the pond in the United Kingdom. And so here in the United States, this is really great news on this Friday night. And so this is a landmark step to beat back the coronavirus, which it's safe to say has impacted every person's life in this country and around the world this year. Daytona.
Put on my mic for a second. You briefly mentioned earlier that Moderna is also on this, I guess you'd say, path to getting authorized as well, and that could come soon. One of our sister stations, Fox 11, had an interview with one of the co-founders of Moderna, and he's breaking down what the latest is with that company. So we'll play that out, and then I want to play out a couple other things that have kind of led up to this decision, like that executive order from President Trump, and part of that panel, even though it was hours and hours. I think there was some really, really interesting parts of it that we can play out again here on News Now from Fox, because we like to do that, play out the full briefing so you can kind of make decisions for yourself. So we'll play this one out first from Fox 11 Los Angeles with the co-founder of Moderna.
But biotech companies have actually been working on an mRNA vaccine for years now. Joining us this morning is the co-founder and chairman of Moderna and the CEO of Flagship Pioneering, Dr. Noubar Afeyan. Welcome. Good morning.
Good to be here, Axia.
Happy to have you join us. Thank you for making the time. Let's begin with the basics here. Let's talk about how the Moderna vaccine works, Doctor.
The Moderna vaccine is based on this molecule called messenger RNA. It's a fundamental part of how all of our cells work. Information that is in our DNA, that's what's passed down through generations, is copied into a messenger RNA, which in turn is the instruction for the proteins. Proteins are what comprise much of the work that cells do. And so in our case, we, for the first time, worked out a way in which we could actually synthesize messenger RNA, this information molecule,